moment. We'd ask that you just go to your seats now, those of you that are standing, as we'll be starting Lou's celebration very shortly. Thank you.
If everyone could please be seated. Thank you to our bagpiper, Parker Brooks, for leading the family procession. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the celebration of life for Lou MacEachern. For all of us here, Lou was dad, Papa Lou, loving husband, uncle, mentor, business partner, Counsel General for the Prince Edward Island, Alberta Trade Office, venture capitalist, philanthropist, Rotarian, friend, confidant, cheerleader, community leader, and a true giant of a man. My name is Scott Jenkins, and I am truly honored to help celebrate the life of someone so special to us. I met my first MacEachern, and bear with me for a moment here, when I first met Grant on a university trip to Oregon State University in 1993. Grant had traveled there in a yellow Nissan Multi ServPro logoed car with Kappa Sigma brothers from the University of Calgary, and I had traveled there with fraternity brothers from the University of Alberta. And the two Canadians soon became good friends. Over the next few years, Grant and I stayed in touch and reconnected over the summers, and when I returned to Calgary after time overseas, Grant became my roommate, then neighbor, co-alumnus advisor, traveler, Flames ticket partner, Canmore co-resident, ski trip organizer. You get the idea. More than a few people suggested we should cut the cord. What we didn't know at the time, but soon figured out when I was invited to my first MacEachern family dinner, was that we weren't the first MacEacherns to know each other. The MacEacherns and Jenkins had been good friends for many decades. You see, as Lou told me, when he first moved to Calgary in the 1950s, he knew to pay a visit to Jenkins' Groceteria to shop for groceries where another PEI-led family was running the business. Lou returned to PEI for school and then on to Dalhousie, but when he returned to Calgary and started his business career, he reconnected with my grandfather Ron when he joined the Downtown Rotary Club, and I know there's many Rotarians in attendance today, where they were both members and eventually became a good friend of my father Jim when he also became a Rotarian. Lou and I often chatted that the MacEachern-Jenkins friendship most certainly predated him and my grandfather back in PEI, and someday we would rediscover all the PEI relationships. Over the years, Hilda, Lou, Carla, and Nancy welcomed me into their family as they somehow put up with the antics of Grant and I. While Grant and I only had one small foray into business together with a short-lived company called Homesitters, I was incredibly fortunate to work closely with two other MacEachrons. In the mid-2000s, after I joined a Calgary startup called Dirt, we were in need of a talented graphic designer with an incredible spirit, love of life, sense of humor, and willingness to put up with me, much like I did with Grant. And so Nancy joined our team for a wonderful ride. And then in 2020, when we started our current company, it was Nancy who helped us get launched as one of the original 6 team members. As Dirt grew and we took the company public, we were once again in need of one of the most talented, capital markets, financially savvy, eloquent investment professionals I had ever met. No, not you, Grant. Kimberly. It took a lot of conversations, more than a few glasses of wine, some arm twisting to convince Kim to join our team as the head of investor relations. And what transpired in the next few years was one of the most enjoyable periods of my career. At so many family events, I can remember chatting with Carla about her next upcoming trip, the people she had met, and desperately trying to convince her to sneak some pills away of the good stuff for me. She never acquiesced. And just like Lou, Hilda would always insist on hearing about my wife Sarah, my family, my children, and listening intently and asking me about me. My love for the MacEachern family and Lou runs deep, with the only thing comparable being the relationship and love my wife Sarah and I have for our adopted nephew, Atticus, and the relationship he has with our own sons, his adopted brothers. Sir Atticus has grown up with my boys as part of the extended Jenkins MacEachern family, with way too many ski trips to count, playing shinny, hikes in the summer in Canmore, and New Year's parties. Lou and the entire MacEachern family have meant so much to so many of us today, and is truly a celebration of an amazing person. So with that, I would now like to introduce our first speaker, Fred Edwards. Fred shared a special business and personal relationship with Lou. Raised in Winnipeg, Fred had an early fascination with cleanliness and order as a child. When the family would eat out at a restaurant, Fred would rush to the washroom, inspecting its cleanliness and reporting back that the establishment was safe. Little did Fred know that this foreshadowed his future relationship with Lou. After graduating high school, Fred headed west, like so many people in this room. He began his career in the residential carpet cleaning business, spending countless hours driving around the city in his Ford station wagon, cleaning homes and learning the trade. So a Ford, yes, that's a shout out for Jerry, but not yellow at the time. After years growing his business interests, Fred took on an operations role with the largest cleaning company in Western Canada, and in the early 2000s was approached about an opportunity to purchase ServPro, the leader in restoration and cleaning services in Calgary, from the ownership group who had originally purchased it from Lou. Understanding the legacy and impact of Lou had in building such a great company, but also in our community, that led Fred to connect with Lou, and an instant friendship was born. Today, the legacy of ServPro and the leadership of Lou, and then Fred, lives on with Fred's sons at the helm. So I'd like to invite Fred to the podium to share with us his tribute to Lou.
Thank you very much, Scott. What a great introduction. Kind of took my mind off what my job is next. Honored guests, family and friends, cherished community members, thank you for gathering here today to celebrate the incredible life of a terrific husband, father, uncle, grandfather, and friend who touched us all deeply. And to me, a mentor, advisor, and most importantly, my friend. Today, we not only mourn Lou's passing, but honor and celebrate a legacy that will continue to inspire us as years to come. I had the privilege of knowing Lou for almost 3 decades. He was more than a mentor. He was a guiding star whose wisdom, kindness, shaped the foundation of my life and my work. Buying his company ServPro was not just a business transaction. It was the start of a profound relationship that changed the course of my journey. Lou was a kind mentor who didn't provide the answers, but encouraged you to ask the right questions. He didn't just teach me how to run a business. He showed me how to build a life of integrity, passion, and purpose. In every decision, he emphasized the importance of honesty, dedication, and hard work, a reflection of the values that he upheld. He had a knack for expanding your horizons, but always left the decision to you. Often I chose a different path, and he would just smile, offering silent encouragement. When I would later share the stories and the outcomes, sometimes years later, he would lean back with that unforgettable, electric smile lighting up his face. Words were unnecessary. So one day, about 15 years ago, Lou and I were having lunch in Lake Louise, as we did a couple times a year. It was a tradition that Lou had started with me. He would hire a driver and take us up to Lake Louise. We would have a lunch, a visit, drive back, stopping at the Banff Springs Hotel for a cappuccino. Lou always began our journeys with, "Let's make this one to remember," he'd say. "Fred, feel free to ask me anything, just as I hope I can with you. After all, that's what friends do." Lou had an incredible way to make people feel comfortable. Years later, we expanded our mountain outings to include Jerry, Pat, and Bill, some prominent local business leaders, and we would enjoy long dinners into the evening, sharing both the good and the bad stories, followed by an early morning breakfast meeting. And I say breakfast meeting because, like every encounter with Lou, he would always pull out a vertically folded agenda from his suit pocket and say, "Gentlemen, before we depart, we have a few items to discuss." I can't recall many luncheons, get-togethers, trips, or meetings without Lou pulling out that pre-written agenda. One of our conversations over 10 years ago, we were driving back from the mountains, and I said, "Lou, what are your thoughts about myself donating to the Building Owners and Managers Association of Calgary with a one-time check?" That smile started to creep on his face, knowing the master's lessons had touched the student. He responded, "Well, how much are you thinking, Fred?" I proudly told him. That smile widened, and those eyes shone like diamonds as they did. He reached over, wrapped his hand around my forearm, leaned in, and quietly said, "Fred, if you double that number, it will have so much more impact." I did. Also, allow me to show you how to make a much bigger impact for this cause by giving every year instead of a one-time payment. The lesson that day was a powerful one of giving and leaving a legacy, and the power of giving through any means. He'd always say, "It will come back to you tenfold, maybe not on the way you gave it, but in other ways of your life." He would reflect on that statement many times as the years crossed over into his 90s. He'd say, "Look at me. I never thought I'd be around this long, surrounded by so many wonderful people." Lou believed and showed us that anything is possible if you want it. Never in my wildest dreams as a young man starting out in the cleaning trade would I ever meet the owner of ServPro or become his friend, or have one of the most honored roles of my life standing up here for him and his family today. Yes, anything is possible. Thank you, my friend. Beyond business, Lou was a shining example of what it means to be truly dedicated to those around him. Whether he was advising on critical decisions or simply providing a listening ear, during challenging times, his presence was always reassuring. And as many of you know, Lou was the master of relationships and keeping people connected. You could ask him who he had lunch with 50 years ago, and he would pull out a day planner and tell you and remember the conversation. We also spent many hours on the phone, and it always started with him saying, "Well, what's a good word, my friend?" I would respond with some event that was going on, which I was wound up about, and he would say, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room have heard him say these words, "Stop me if you've heard this story before." His wisdom often came packed with stories. Well, today, if that phone rang and the words on the other end were, "Well, what's a good word, my friend?" I would say, "Today, I'm sad. I lost a really good friend, and it's such an empty feeling. But I'm also happy for him and his family that he did not suffer." I can imagine what his response would be. "Fred, how lucky were you to have such a special person that meant saying goodbye so hard." To the family, I'd like you to know from me how much he loved you all. There was never a time or get-together he did not discuss his family in detail. He would go through the list of each of you, sharing a story proudly, and he'd often talk about how things would be when he was gone, but proudly and fondly with that smile, and say, "Fred, I think I've done a pretty good job for the future." Lou had a delightful sense of humor and generosity that knew no bounds. He supported numerous causes and helped others, not because he had to, because that was his essence. His warmth and goodwill has enriched the lives of so many of the community and people in this room today. Even at 91, or as he used to like to say, living in my 92nd year, his profound insight and boundless passion seemed timeless. At our last lunch this year, and who knew it was going to be our last one, Lou drove that day as he had some banking to do prior to the lunch. Pat, Lou, and I had a wonderful luncheon visit and even had a cold beer, which was a rarity. Lou had to call the lunch at 2 p.m. as he had some other appointments that day. As we shared a hug, and he got in his car and drove off. I wish I would have said, "Safe travels, my friend." But those are my words today. Safe travels, my friend. Today, as we remember Lou, let us carry forward the lessons he imparted. The principles of hard work, support for one another, the strength to meet business and personal challenges with courage, and importantly, the gift of friendship. Lou, you may have left this world, but your teachings, laughter, and spirit endure in our hearts. Thank you for everything you've done and everything you have been. We will strive to live in a way that honors your legacy and pays tribute to your extraordinary life you led. May you rest in peace, knowing a long life thoroughly lived, my friend, and your legacy will continue to light our paths. Lastly, in his famous words that he delivered to 800 plus people just last year, don't let the bastards grind you down. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred, and as you just told me, you made it. Barely. That was wonderful. As many of you in this room know, Lou was a constant supporter, a champion, an advocate, and a partner for those people and organizations dedicated to making our city, our province, and our country a better place to live. Our next speaker has focused her life on making Calgary and Alberta a better place for everyone to call home. Eva Friesen has been the president and CEO of the Calgary Foundation since 2005, leading the rapid growth of one of the largest community foundations in Canada, with assets now exceeding $1.4 billion. The foundation is a pillar of our community, distributing grants of over $60 million annually to all sectors of the charitable community. A Rotarian since 1993, Eva served as the first female president of the Rotary Club of Calgary Downtown for the 2013-14 centennial year, and has served on a number of not-for-profit boards, including the Calgary Police Commission, the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, and the Rotary Clubs of Calgary Foundation. Eva holds 2 honorary Doctorate of Laws from both the University of Calgary and Mount Royal University, among countless other accolades. Just one of the many things that Lou, who also holds an honorary Doctor of Laws from the University of Prince Edward Island, and Eva have in common. I would like to invite Eva to share her tribute to Lou with us.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor, a very humble honor, to be asked to do this for Lou. He was truly a champion for community. I don't remember the exact year I first met Lou, but I remember the place. His office just east of Edmonton Trail. Well, I wasn't sure if it was his office or his private art gallery. Perhaps it was both. As he toured me through the art, he shared with me the stories of each of the artists behind the pieces. His admiration and support for those artists was clearly visible. I marveled at what he could all remember about each and every one of them. We really connected that first meeting. He was from rural PEI, and at 16 he left school to work on the potato farm for 45 cents an hour. I was from rural Manitoba, and at 16 I took a summer job on a sugar beet farm, and I hoed beets for $12 an acre. Perhaps that explains it. Lou was a humble man. I never learned how great he was, how successful he was in business, or how generous he was in community from Lou. Those parts of Lou I read about. What I learned from Lou was what was important to him. Things important to Lou were his family, his community, education, and hard work. He began his community work the same time he started ServPro, serving as a director and volunteer with the Canadian Cancer Society, and he then never stopped serving in community. Before he even had much money, he was donating whatever he could. He explained it simply to me once by saying he's never given away any money that he felt bad about. So he kept on giving. He especially liked to give if it nurtured communities that had nurtured him. Lou valued education. After all, it had changed the trajectory of his life. He believed it was the ticket to his success, and he believed every child should have a chance at education. Being poor should not deprive them, and that simply wasn't right. His life experience shaped his giving. He was the lead supporter for the Friends of the University of Prince Edward Island Fund at the Calgary Foundation, a fund that helps students from Alberta and PEI to attend the UPEI by giving scholarships. He also set up scholarships at Bow Valley College and the University of Calgary. He was committed to giving young people the opportunity to go to school who otherwise not be able to afford to do so. In addition to scholarships, each year Lou awarded a car to a hardworking student at Holland College in PEI and $1,000 prizes to 4 runners-up to just encourage students to push themselves a little further. Lou said his philanthropy was tilted towards education because when he finds someone working hard and struggling to make it, he had a lot of time for them. I think Lou never forgot the little old man with the briefcase who went back to school at 19, starting with grade 8. He got an education the hard way, and he wanted to help other kids who might have been like him so they could experience the success he had. In 2011, the University of Prince Edward Island recognized the long-standing support and leadership of Lou MacEachern at a reception, naming a busy indoor thoroughfare at Don and Marion McDougall Hall in his honor. The Lou MacEachern Market Street is located across the full length of the building and connects students to lecture theaters, classrooms, and study and breakout rooms in the modern complex that hosts the School of Business, programming along with a multitude of university events. At the event, attended by students, staff, faculty, and alumni, a Lou MacEachern bursary recipient, previously and now a member of the UPEI Board of Governors, said, "This bursary not only helped me financially, but it gave me a sense of duty, because not only was I working to earn my business degree for myself, but also for Mr. MacEachern, as he believed in me." Lou MacEachern's contributions were both financial and service-oriented. He served 3 terms on the UPEI Board of Governors. Lou was a committed Rotarian. In Rotary, Lou found a community of people like him who wanted to network and give back to the community that helped them achieve their business success. To us younger Rotarians, those older Rotarians seemed to stick together, sitting with their peers at the meetings. We called these the gray-haired tables. Okay, 30 years ago, that seemed totally appropriate. Today, I don't like it. But Lou was different. He didn't stick to those gray tables. He usually sat with some newer, younger members, and he engaged them in conversation, genuinely interested in what they were doing. And he probably gave all of them the best wisdom he once gave me, and you've already heard it: just don't let the bastards grind you down. Lou couldn't help but be a supporter of young people. It was simply in his DNA. His deep commitment to Rotary was demonstrated by his philanthropy. Lou established 3 endowment funds at the Calgary Foundation in support of Rotary that will continue to grow in perpetuity, supporting fellowship and service to others beyond our lifetimes. These funds included the Lou MacEachern Fund for Rotary Challenger Park, the MacEachern Fund for the Rotary Club of Calgary Downtown, and the Lou MacEachern Fund for the Rotary Olympic Club. Now, Grant was a president of the Olympic Rotary Club at that time, so in typical Lou fashion, he supported family and Rotary at the same time. Very efficient. Lou was a very strong supporter of the arts. His personal art collection is a testament to his support. And yes, I believe he loved those art pieces, but I think more importantly, he wanted to support the artists in their journey to success. While some work is rented out on the walls of corporate offices, his big heart was more inclined to loan pieces for free to hospitals and charities. And so many of his paintings today are appreciated by staff and enjoyed by patients, and they provide exposure for the artists. Lou was a big supporter of the Federation Centre for the Arts in Prince Edward Island. He served as a director on the Board of Governors for many years. He gave a major donation to establish the Lou MacEachern Community Partnership Program that will make the centre's facilities and resources more accessible to a variety of local organizations. The centre has partnered with 5 local groups for the new program: LUNI, Black Cultural Society, United Way of PEI, Art in the Open, and the PEI Symphony Orchestra. To honor Lou's support, the center's upper plaza facing Grafton Street will continue to bear his name going forward. Upon learning of Lou's passing, the Confederation Center CEO, Steve Bellamy, said, "Lou is a great man with a big heart. He touched the lives of so many people and took a genuine interest in whomever he met. Always humble about his own success, Lou inspired others to give back and support community. He leaves behind an incredible legacy of kindness and generosity of spirit." And the board chair, Robert Sears, said, "No one supported the center more than Lou. He believed in the center's mission and saw it as a crucial institution not only for the island but for the entire country. He was a proud Canadian. Supporting Canada's monument to Confederation was one of his passions. We are so grateful for his many years with the center, and we will miss him." Lou made a tremendous impact to the Calgary Foundation and to the Calgary community through the foundation. His journey with the Calgary Foundation began in 1994 when he joined the investment committee. He served on the board of directors for the 3 terms that you're allowed to in your lifetime. Lou personally established 11 Calgary Foundation funds to support causes he cared deeply about. These funds have collectively distributed nearly 200 grants, totaling almost $4 million to positively impact the important work of charitable organizations both in Alberta and in Lou's home province of PEI. This included supporting everything from essential needs, children and youth initiatives, disability serving organizations, arts and cultural organizations, and local parks and recreation opportunities. He supported the Boys and Girls Clubs, Salvation Army, the Naval Museum of Alberta, the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, and the Pinnacle Awards. He established funds at the Calgary Foundation in honor of people he respected, people like the former CTV broadcaster Barb Higgins, the not-for-profit manager Vicki Cranenberg, and the former police chief of Calgary, Rick Hansen. He honored these exemplary leaders, usually when they retired, because he hoped it would draw more attention to the impact they made in Calgary. He gave these individuals, he honored them by giving them the opportunity to recommend grants to the charities they cared about with these endowment funds at the foundation. All of us at the Calgary Foundation are honored that Lou entrusted us with the stewardship of his philanthropy. Lou was a true gentleman, known for his warmth, his generosity, his deep commitment to philanthropy. He had a unique way of doing business, always over lunch at Chianti, a beloved family-owned Italian restaurant in the Northeast. It was clear that this was more than just a routine for Lou. It was a reflection of his values. He built relationships wherever he went, greeting the servers by name, receiving the same warmth in return, and they knew him very well right down to his usual order. Beyond his personal charm, Lou was deeply passionate about the power of endowment philanthropy. He believed in creating a lasting impact, ensuring his generosity would continue to benefit the community for generations to come long after his lifetime. His thoughtful and strategic approach to giving set an example for others, and his legacy will live on in the causes and institutions he supported so passionately. What will stick with me from knowing Lou is what he told me about his arrival in Calgary when he first came in 1952. He was told by others, "It's all over in this town, Lou. If you weren't here in 1948, you don't stand a chance." But that 19-year-old potato farmer with a grade 7 education didn't believe them. "When you don't know what you can't do," Lou would say to me, "you can do amazing things." And that was at the heart of Lou's success. As a result of his success, he did amazing things, both for Calgary and in PEI. One of the things Lou always did, and I don't know why he did it, he called me on my birthday to say happy birthday. I don't know how he even knew it was my birthday. Maybe on our first meeting he asked me. That's 3 weeks from now, very close, and I'm going to miss that phone call. Lou was a true champion of community.
Thank you, Eva. On behalf of Hilda, Carla, Nancy, Grant, Kim, and Atticus, we want to thank all those family members that have traveled to be with us today, including those from British Columbia, other parts of Alberta, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, other parts of Canada, and the United States. I would also like to extend appreciation from the family to everyone watching today's celebration of Lou on the live cast, and thanks to Live Barn, including family and friends in Prince Edward Island, the rest of the Maritimes, British Columbia, around Canada, and last but not least, Michelle in Kitchener. This is for you. Did I get that right, Nance? Nance is about to crack up. As we all know, the MacEachrons have welcomed countless people into their family, including so many of us today. And I would like to read a note from one such person who could not be with us today but is traveling with his son, just as Lou would have wanted on an epic father-son trip. I have to be careful here now. So, on behalf of Craig Dickey, Kim's brother, and the Dickey family, I'd like to read this note from Craig. I have asked Scott to read this short note since my son, Sean, and I are unable to attend the service today. We are on a father-son trip planned months ago. And knowing how important family trips were to Lou, I'm sure he would not have wanted us to cancel. When Kim married Grant, we were not only lucky to add a fantastic uncle and a brother to the family, but also wonderful aunts, Auntie Carla and Auntie Nancy, and grandparents, Lou and Hilda. Papa Lou, as he was affectionately known, always included our family like his own, whether it was a chocolate bunnies at Easter, an invitation to brunch, or a coin set at Christmas. Over the years, Lou would always want to know what was happening in the real estate market or politics, offering sage advice or a funny story from his own experiences in business. What always struck me about Lou was that he listened more than he spoke. He was genuinely interested in what you had to say and what you were doing in the world to make a difference. We were able to spend this past Christmas together as a family, with Lou and Hilda hosting us at their house. It was a team effort to organize and execute, but it brought everyone together under one roof to enjoy each other's company, gather around a table to share a meal, tell stories, and laugh together. That night will be a special memory that we will cherish forever. Lou always struck me as a stoic man, which made his small gestures even more meaningful. A gentle hug, a firm handshake, or a small kiss on the cheek. He looked you in the eye and made sure you knew that at that moment in time, you were his focus, and he truly cared for you. I am so grateful that Lou became part of our life and our family. I will miss him, as will so many people in this room. Peace be with you, Papa Lou. We will love and remember you always. And a special thanks to Craig for sending that note, and to everyone for their messages, notes, thoughts, and love. Perhaps the greatest lesson I learned from Lou MacEachern, and there were many, was the importance of family, and our speakers today have already spoken about that. I was blessed to be welcomed, like so many of us, into the MacEachern family, and because of that, I am also blessed to call our next speaker one of my great friends. She is also perhaps one of the funniest people I've ever met. I would now like to invite Nancy MacEachern to say a few words.
Thanks, Scotty. I didn't know Craig's note was going to be read before mine. Thank you, everyone, for joining our family today. Your presence, your kind words, the cards, the flowers, and support mean the world to all of us. In this time of loss, we truly feel the love, and we are grateful beyond words for the community that surrounds us. When I introduce myself to someone, and this is anybody, anywhere, anytime, the first question they ask is, "Do you know Lou MacEachern?" And I proudly get to say, yes, that's my dad. To many, my dad was more than just a name. He was a man of great character, a man who left a lasting impression on every life he touched. He carried himself with kindness, generosity, and a deep sense of responsibility to his family, friends, and the world around him. Lou was the kind of person who made you feel seen, valued, and important. Whether you were a lifelong friend or someone he just met, he had this way of making you feel like you belonged. His wisdom, his humor, and his unwavering support were gifts he gave freely. As a father, he was our rock. He led by example, teaching us the value of hard work, honesty, and kindness. He encouraged us to chase our dreams, reminding us that integrity and love are the true measures of success. Thank you for the travel adventures, for showing us the world through your eyes, and making every trip a memory we will cherish forever. Thank you for our Sunday family dinners, those moments of love, laughter, and togetherness that we will always hold close to our hearts. Lou told us he had a great life, but I'd like to thank him for our great life. Lou's impact reaches far beyond our family. His generosity knew no bounds, and his belief in giving back shaped the lives of so many. Whether through a simple act of kindness or a grand gesture, my dad made the world a better place just by being in it. Losing him leaves a hole in our hearts that we can never truly fill. But we find comfort in the love he shared, the memories we hold dear, and the lessons he taught us. Today, as we say goodbye, let's not only mourn his passing, but also celebrate his incredible life. Let's honor his legacy by carrying forward his kindness, his generosity, and his love. Dad, we love you, we miss you, and we will carry you with us always. I wanted to finish with a poem. I thought that would mean less writing for me. But you may find it hard to believe. Lou was not somebody that, I tried to find a poem that would encapture a family man, a businessman, a community leader, an art collector, a dirty joke teller. Grant found this lovely piece that captures my dad perfectly. It's on the back of the card, so I'd like to share that with you now. How did they live? Not how did they die, but how did they live? Not what did they gain, but what did they give? These are the units to measure the worth of a person as a person, regardless of birth. Not what was their church, nor what was their creed, but what they befriended those really in need. Were they ever ready, with a word of good cheer, to bring back a smile, to banish a tear? Not what did the sketch in the newspaper say, but how many were sorry when they passed away.
Thanks, Nancy. As I mentioned, at various times I've called our next speaker my slumlord, my roommate, my travel mate, my life coach, my stockbroker, my son's uncle, my bookie, my first person you call if you get arrested, my relationship advisor at my peril until I met my lovely wife Sarah, my brother, and my best friend. I would now like to introduce Grant MacEachern, Lou's son.
Today we come together to celebrate a life well lived. The remarkable journey of our father Lou, a farm boy from PEI, who over 91 years built a legacy of love and lasting impact. We are here to remember not just his years, but the countless memories he filled with warmth and generosity. How many of you here have received that legendary once-a-year phone call? And if you haven't, it's only because he didn't know your birthday, and he was going to find it out somehow. How many of you received a silver dollar, a ladybug, a pen, a special tune-year loonie, or a box of chocolates from Lou? That's all brand Lou. When it came to business, our dad loved deals. Whether it was a stock with great potential or an entrepreneur that needed some seed capital, Lou was always ready to listen, learn, and likely invest. I can remember our family vacations in the 70s and 80s where our father would be carrying around a pocket full of change, and we'd be stopping at every payphone, and he'd be phoning for stock quotes or checking back in with the office. Many times on our trips, there'd be some business deal we had to look at. On a visit to England, we'd stop at London and visit his people at the Lloyds of London. Or in South Africa, we'd visit a candy factory to see if they had any tips on how to improve the licorice factory in Innisfail. He always wanted to connect with people. He was still working on deals a few weeks ago. Instead of a pocket full of coins, now he was a master of Zoom. He loved being able to talk to people in the Maritimes and be able to see them and interact with them. That engagement and purpose is what Lou loved. He wasn't going to slow down. He was doing what he loved. Our dad was also a collector. He collected art, antiques, coins, sculptures, and anything else he got to deal on. Collecting was also a family affair. Carla and I did one of the first inventories of his art about 40 years ago, and you can still see Carla's handwriting on the back of some of his oldest pieces. We also visited and got to know many of the artists who he collected. When Dad was on the move, he'd have a case full of Anne of Green Gables chocolates with him. He'd give those boxes out to valets, restaurant hosts, servers, or the family sitting next to us at the restaurant. It wasn't about getting something in return. It was about the pure joy of giving. He understood that even the smallest act of kindness could brighten someone's day, and he lived that philosophy every single day. In the past weeks, countless people have shared their unique Lou stories with us. Some focused on his generosity with his time or money, others on the words of wisdom he'd shared with them through the years. Lou's honesty was his hallmark. He spoke with a raw, unfiltered truth, whether guiding an entrepreneur or addressing a distinguished gathering. He believed in action over words. He wasn't afraid to provide the push needed to get there. As we've already heard, his now legendary closing line at the Southern Alberta Business Hall of Fame induction, "Don't let the bastards grind you down," was pure Lou. Everyone got it. It was his way of saying, live your life your way. He wasn't about to let anyone else call the shots. It resonated because it was authentic. It was his personal creed, a testament to his resilience and his refusal to be defined by anyone else's expectations. Dad understood the value of education, as we've heard. Much of his philanthropy was focused, one way or another, on helping the people that needed it the most to get that little extra boost to reach their educational goals. That might have been a scholarship funded by an endowment or providing a new car for a needy student. Many of you have probably seen his 200-year spreadsheet projecting what an endowment of $1 million becomes when it returns 7% a year and distributes 2.5%. He would happily share it with anyone and everyone. And that's the way he thought in terms of impact. What can I do today that will still be relevant in 200 years? Long-term thinking isn't abundant these days, but as we've heard, he found a common bond with the likes of the Calgary Foundation as a steward of capital for the Calgary community. Our dad was a lot of things to a lot of people, but he always put family first. Our dad was a busy guy when we were growing up, but he never missed an event. Be it a band concert, a hockey game, or a scout meeting, he was there. He was also involved in our education. He knew the principals of all our schools and sat on the parent councils. My sisters and I weren't troublemakers in school, but we also knew that if we did think about getting into trouble, he'd know before we even did it. When I started working as a stockbroker fresh out of university, my dad believed showing up on time was half the battle. He dealt with lots of brokers, many of them who wouldn't show up by 7:30 market open. So Dad didn't tell me what time to start work. He'd just call me every day at 7 a.m. Me not wanting to disappoint my dad, I was there at 7 a.m. every day. As time went on, the 7 a.m. call was less about checking in on me and my punctuality and what the stock market was doing, and more about a daily reminder of his love and our connection. Our dad was a very pragmatic fellow, An example of this is how he decided Calgary was the place to raise a family. He wanted a place where his kids would be able to find good jobs after finishing school. That way they'd stick around. His theory was that Calgary was a prosperous place before he came here. It's probably going to continue that way. And this is what he was thinking in 1960s, before he even had kids or was even married. It looks like his plan worked out pretty well. His life may have taken him west, but Dad never forgot about the red soil of PEI. For 13 years, he hadn't visited the island until our family trip in 1977 rekindled his connection. From then on, PEI became a cherished part of our family's summer. Time spent with cousins on the sandy beaches, time spent in the unforgettable lobster suppers. Lou's Lobster Suppers grew into an annual not-to-be-missed event, drawing over 150 islanders and a sprinkling of fortunate Westerners, all eager to share in the joy of Lou's homecoming. Our bond to PEI is so strong now that it wasn't even a question of whether we'd have a celebration of Lou's life and legacy in PEI. We're looking forward to sharing Lou's stories on the island at the end of April. As I was putting this together, I realized that our dad had many different components to his life: family, community service, philanthropy, and business. None of them lived in a silo. They were all thrown together all the time. Through the years, Lou had one trusty sidekick. Dorothy. Our family is sincerely thankful for all you've done for Dad. You are kindred spirits in your love of art, and your tenacity for keeping the book straight is much appreciated today. We need you more than ever. Thank you for being there, Dorothy. Thank you to Eva and Fred for sharing your kind words. I know our dad had the greatest respect and admiration for you both. And thank you to Scott for being such a great friend and providing support to our family, not just recently, but for so many years. And thank you to all of our family from both coasts who made their way here today. It does mean a lot to us. And to all the friends who took time out of their lives to share their Lou stories in person or online, thank you. Our dad didn't tell us kids how to live. He lived and let us watch him do it. He lived a life of purpose, generosity, and unwavering love. And that's the legacy he leaves with us. We'll miss him every day.
Thanks, Grant. Your dad would be proud. Once again, on behalf of the MacEachern family, we want to thank everyone for being here today and being part of the celebration for a truly incredible man. A second celebration is scheduled, as Grant mentioned, in Charlottetown on April 26th at the Confederation Center for the Arts, and details will be forthcoming. As we wrap up the formal portion of today, a few other items and one last short story. There are chocolates, as Lou would be so proud to hand out, at the front door for everyone to take. And as I suggested to Carla and Hilda on Friday, it would have been great if we could hand them out from the trunk of Lou's car to truly honor him. The reception will begin right after the formal program, as mentioned earlier. And there will be an open house at Lou's office on Saturday, March 22nd from 1 to 5 p.m. And the address will be on the screens, or just ask myself or Grant and we'll get you that address. We'd like to thank the Kappa Sigmas for helping direct traffic today outside. They did a great job. Everyone at the Red and White Club, and of course Evan Strong and his amazing team. Over the past few weeks, the family has received so many amazing notes and stories of Lou, and they would like everyone to consider to keep sending those, as over the past few weeks, the talk of a book of Lou has really come to fruition. So one final story to wrap up the formal portion of today's celebration, and one I hope that so many of us can relate to. As we all know, Lou loved to travel both for business and with the love of his life, Hilda, and his family. Back to Prince Edward Island, throughout Canada, the United States, and the rest of the world, as you've seen through so many photos on the screen. That love for travel, for people, for learning about new places, I think was only matched by his oldest daughter, Carla. I don't know how many times Carla and I have talked about her trips with Kontiki and all of the MacEachern clan, about trips to places like Dubai, India, the United States. Carla, your love for travel, exploration, and adventure was definitely something you shared with your dad. However, it wasn't until last Friday when Hilda shared a story as we were having coffee in the kitchen about her and her girlfriend getting in her 55 Chevy and driving to Calgary, arriving in rush hour on a bit of a whim to take new jobs with the Royal Bank of Canada without a place to live or really a plan. It was that story that I actually realized something about the MacEachern family I had never realized. It was only listening to Hilda that I began to understand even more the connection, the love, the reason you and Lou were meant to be. Lou was a calculated risk taker and entrepreneur, and he made bold choices like moving to Calgary at a young age, and so was Hilda. That decision Hilda and her girlfriend made to move to a new city for new adventures, to meet new people, to take on new challenges, led to two amazing people coming together to create something so special. Hilda, thank you for getting in that 55 Chevy with your girlfriend and driving through rush hour. I too had the opportunity to travel with Lou when he joined Grant, myself, Lauren, Jerry, and Greg on a trip prior to Grant's wedding to Iceland. And as you can expect, Lou was as curious as ever and always listened as good friends chatted about our future lives and the world around us. One morning, Lou and I had a chance to take a walk, and he shared his love of his soon-to-be daughter-in-law and the importance of family, so much of which we've heard today. Little did he know, in a few years, he'd be introduced to the newest MacEachern, Atticus. Sir Atticus, my memory of that conversation made me think of you. You are the spitting image of your grandfather, Papa Lou. But not just in charming good looks and with your wry smile, but in the young man you are becoming. Your kindness, your passion, your smarts, your work ethic, your newfound love of coins, rocks, minerals, and everyone around you, and life. Atticus L.J. MacEachern, you are proof that the spirit of Lou lives on and will continue to live on for all of us, and we thank you for that. I want to thank all of the MacEacherns, and especially Papa Lou, for sharing their love, friendship, adventure, business, community support, family, and compassion with all of us. Thank you, everyone. The family now will return to the family room. And thank you, Brooke. Or Parker. Please stand.